It's time to dive into a topic that's making headlines and stirring debates across the country, the looming TikTok ban. And my next guest is a professor of communication at the University of Washington. And this is something she's been following quite closely, and she's here to help us understand the dynamics of the evolving situation. Katie Pierce, welcome to New Day.
Great, thanks, Kelly.
Yes, so the primary reason behind the proposed TikTok ban is national security. So if you can go ahead and explain some of these concerns.
Yeah, so for a number of years now, people in the US government have been trying to get rid of TikTok, and their big claim is that there's national security concerns. And the two main concerns are, first, that traditionally in the US, we have very strict laws about who can own media, who can own TV stations, who can own newspapers. They need to be American citizens. For example, Rupert Murdoch had to become an American citizen to own media companies here. So when we have new media, social media, technology, those laws didn't apply. The worry is that someone that owns a media entity can have a tremendous influence on public opinion and potentially spread propaganda. So because those laws didn't apply to technology, there's a fear that TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, which is based in China, could potentially be told by the Chinese government, you need to add pro-China propaganda into the US TikTok feeds. Now, importantly, there's no evidence that this has happened, but that's the first concern. The second concern is that TikTok, like every other app on your phone, every streaming service that you have, collects a tremendous amount of data about you. Now, people probably already know this, like they know the things that you click on, the things you like, what you comment on. What people maybe don't know and maybe should know is that it's collecting your location, it's collecting who you're connected with, your friends, your family. It knows a lot about
everything
you. Everything. And that's true of all these apps. And so what the concern is in terms of national security, especially for government employees or military personnel, is that potentially just by having the TikTok app on the phone, somehow Chinese authorities could get through to information that would be secure. Now, again, no evidence this has happened whatsoever, but that is what they say are the two big national security risks. Now, you and I, the general public, we are not privy to what exactly, maybe they do have evidence of something, but it's all speculative, and that's what TikTok's arguing.
And this obviously brings light to broader issues of, data privacy across other apps and platforms. So if, you touched on this, but can you speak on how this is really kind of happening on all different apps, and why should, the average person like me be worried?
Yeah, it's a big deal. So everything you use, your Roku TV, your dishwasher that's connected to the internet, everything you use, apps on your phone, it is collecting so much data about all of us. And what happens is this collected data gets aggregated and sold as packages. So sometimes it's in the aggregate. They're like, okay, married women in their 50s in the area code or in the zip code 91117. Okay. But sometimes it's individual. And so this is what is a little funny about this data privacy concern, is that if someone in China wanted to know about you, Kelly, they could go and buy your data broker file, and in that file it has your job, your religion, your political views, and even down to if you bought a pair of socks on Amazon last week and how much it cost. Is that level of detail? So they don't even need to invade your phone because all of this is on there. And so what is really important to know is that getting rid of TikTok is just a tiny little thing. And indeed, there are additional vulnerabilities that is Chinese owned, but we as Americans need to have better data privacy protections. Right now, everything is out there about us. Now, I will say, last year, our own Senator, Maria Cantwell, introduced a bill, the American Privacy Act, that looked really promising. Privacy experts were pretty keen on it. It was bipartisan as well. It's stalled out right now, but we absolutely need something like that would resolve all of these issues. Now, in Europe, they have these kind of laws. They are not perfect, to be sure. They're challenging. But it's just this very funny thing that by coincidence of history and how fast social media came about, that we're in this situation now that we've sort of, without even paying attention, have turned our whole lives over to these companies.
We really have. And so what do you think is going to happen then with the date that's looming, January 19th, if the ban takes place, and then where are people going to go?
Absolutely. So last week, the Supreme Court heard arguments from TikTok and obviously from representatives of the government,
right,
as well as a group representing TikTok users. And TikTok said these national security concerns are just speculative and that this is a First Amendment issue, that this is potentially harming freedom of expression for users on TikTok that want to go on there and express themselves. So the Supreme Court, sometime in the coming days, is going to come down with a decision. I wish that I knew.
I know. We wish you had a crystal ball.
Yes,
like
it would be amazing.
Yes.
And all these people kind of speculate based on what they say and if did they nod or these sort of things. We really don't know. So let's say that in fact the ban happens. And I should say we keep on calling it a ban, but really what happens is that if this comes into effect on January 19th, it will be that the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store, and internet service providers will be fined if they provide TikTok.
For you to download or anything.
For someone to download.
Right.
So on January 19th, TikTok will no longer be downloadable on these app stores. And interestingly, if people download it, it's a fine of $5,000 per user.
Whoa.
That's a lot of money.
But if I still have it on my phone,
it's not going to go away.
So can I still be scrolling even?
Yes,
okay,
for now. So
okay,
TikTok will absolutely still work. No one's going to come to your door
no
and
one's
say,
knocking on my door.
You're looking at TikTok, or like even if you make a TikTok, it's not going to get anyone in trouble.
Okay.
It's not going, the app's not going to disappear from your phone. It will still be usable for a while. But what will happen is, have you ever had like an old phone or an old tablet in your closet? You pull it out,
Yeah,
like just to, see if it works, and some of the apps sort of work, sort of don't.
Right.
That is how TikTok will feel. It will stop getting updates and eventually will stop working.
Right.
So that is if this all happens. Now I will say there are workarounds. There are ways to download apps not through those app stores that people can do.
But we don't recommend, probably.
Yes, but those are things that people can choose.
Okay.
Some people will maybe try to use a VPN. So a VPN is sort of like your device telling the internet, hey, I'm not in Seattle, I'm in Sweden, I'm in Canada.
Totally.
And people do this to watch sports in other countries.
Right.
It happens. People could set that up to look at TikTok pretending they're in another country. Might be a little bit of technical work, but people might do that.
Right.
And it's not illegal to do that. People are also moving to other apps. Some people are going over to Instagram or to YouTube Shorts. And one of the really sweet things that we've seen in the last few days is a lot of TikTok users have downloaded an app from China that feels very much like TikTok. It's called Red Note or Little Red Book, and
right,
depending on how you translate it. And it feels very, very close to TikTok. It's not owned by ByteDance, but it just is very similar. So it's been very sweet to see people download this app, and they're interacting with people. So there are ways to get around it.
Thank you so much for coming on, and we do have to wait and see, but this was amazing. Thank you for being here.